Hi everybody. I thought I'll post a second video on the Kerala elephant's death. The first video was in Hindi, that was abstracts of an interview I had with India TV News, a Hindi channel, which they had requested me to speak in Hindi. Hindi is not a language I'm not very comfortable with. I'm trying my level best to learn Hindi in spite of all my efforts all these years. I'm still not mastered it. Hopefully I should be able to master it in a couple of years from now. So since it was in Hindi, many of my English speaking friends who are not very conversant in Hindi asked me so many questions specific to that interview. And likewise, many of my Hindi speaking friends also said, since you mix a lot of English and Hindi in between, it may not have reached the right audience with the right message. So a friend of mine suggested, why don't you give a follow-up video on the present status of the case? So I thought I'll just have a recap of the whole thing, so you understand the background and what happened and what can be done next. So first and foremost, what really happened? The first time this news came to people like us in Bangalore and other cities, elephant lovers and wildlife enthusiasts, we get these feeds from different groups and WhatsApp group and Facebook groups, whatever. They collect information with the locals and then we share information. So first time I saw this was on 25th of May. I saw this clipping of an elephant right in the center of the river in Palakkad district. I was told close to Manarkad. And the elephant was, submerged in water up till his ears, still here. And then it kept moving. The objective of the exercise for the animal was it wanted to keep his mouth down with the trunk up. So obviously the people came to know that this elephant is injured and they could figure out that there's a deep injury in the mouth, and then obviously it has to be out of an explosion. And then the locals there, the villagers started helping the elephant. They wanted to help the elephant. They started giving, fruits and other stuff, whatever is possible, but the elephant was not taking anything. So they alerted the forest staff. The forest staff came on 27th of May. And they came with two trained elephants, which we call as you know, Kumki elephants. When the two Kumki elephants enter the water, this particular elephant, injured elephant, was still standing in the river. When the Kumki elephants came closer, it collapsed and it was dead. It was a very, very heartbreaking story. But such stories happen across the country in human-elephant conflict in different ways. But the reason for this particular incident to go viral, to the world media, the world at large, people started grieving and about this dead elephant in Kerala was on account of a couple of reasons. One, on post-mortem they found the elephant was pregnant. Number two, the forest officer of Kerala who attended from Manarkad, who attended to this particular incident to rescue that elephant, who was also there for the postmortem. He wrote a beautiful blog in Malayalam, which I read, very well written, very well expressed. So there is a line which says, as a possible reason for this death, it said probably the animal would have picked up some pineapple laden with crackers. Was a matter of probability what he wrote. He didn't say it aloud, but if you read between lines, that in the sequence of story which he built up, he very nicely wrote about this elephant and its life and how it ended, and very, very anybody who reads it, it is really heartbreaking to see the death of an animal in such a cruel fashion. So this particular Facebook post in Malayalam went viral. It was shared all across. So vernacular media, the local media picked it up. The local media picked it up. It again became viral in the social media. Then the English media picked it up. Channels like NDTV started airing the story, and in their update in the website they wrote, somebody fed the elephant. It's believed, it's suspected that somebody fed the elephant with pineapple laden with crackers. So it took a completely different turn, and people across the world came to a conclusion that this gentle giant was fed with pineapple laden with crackers by some sadist for a sadistic pleasure. Though they didn't say it alone, that was the message which was going around. All the celebrities in India, right from industrialists to film actors to politicians, everybody jumped the bandwagon without knowing the facts, and it became a huge political and other issues. I don't want to get into the other issues, but sensitive in nature. Now, to cut a long story short, what really transpired as per police press release available as on today, based on the evidence they collected from the accused in custody. Accused number 3 is one Mr. Wilson, who is a rubber tapper in an estate where this elephant strayed. According to him, they had kept baits for wild boar in coconut laden with explosives they keep for wild boars. Wild boars are not endangered. They are not an endangered species like in India. Though killing a wild boar is also a punishable offense, it is not an endangered animal. Point number 1. Point number 2, wild boar, when the population goes up, state governments gives license to sharpshooters to cull it and bring it down. That doesn't justify what these people have done. I'm just giving you a background. Nobody can kill a wild animal. That's against the laws of the land. Wild boar is a wild animal, and if anybody tries to kill it without a license, without a license to kill during that particular season or period where the government allows, he goes to jail. So this was intended. The intended target was a wild boar. They expected wild boar to pick up the bait. So once the wild boar picks up the bait, it crushes. This explodes in the mouth, and then they tear apart. These explosives tear apart the mouth, and then it will be dead. Immediately, if the villagers there eat wild boar, the meat is sold. This is the typical operation of a poacher, and then it's all illegal activity. Then they dispose of the body. But in this particular case, the estate owner came to know from this tapper an elephant had picked it up, and an elephant was injured in the process. So he immediately asked the tapper who kept this bait on behalf of him, as per police records, if I can recreate things, to drive away the elephant, so that there's no evidence that the elephant took the bait from their estate. So he did what the master said, and then elephant was driven away into the forest, but it kept coming on and on and on and on. From 12 till 27, that's 15 days, the poor animal struggled without eating. So accused number 3, what is the status of the case now? Accused number 3 is in custody. Accused is already arrested. There's a judicial remand, is gone. Accused number 1 and 2 are the estate owner and his son. As per information coming in, they are already in custody, but no arrest has been officially recorded. Very short notice, government acted and to arrest the culprit, and they were put in. So one was a misinformation about the whole thing, but in a way, it was a blessing in disguise. This highlighted the problem of human-elephant conflict in areas close to forests, which happens across the country. A lot of people get killed, a lot of elephants also get killed. As per the statistics available, 24 elephants were killed in Kerala itself in the last 5 years. That is 2015 to 2020 figures. 24 elephants were killed in such suspicious manner. There are so many elephant deaths. Elephant deaths happen due to natural reasons. They bite each other, they kill each other, all that. But postmortem report, which included suspicious deaths like electrocuting, poisoning, snares and other things is around 24. Yes, which itself is a big number. So what do we do about it? What do we do about it as citizens of the country? Human wild elephant conflict is a huge subject where researchers across the world are working on in Africa, Asia, everywhere. There is no tailor-made solution. It is all very, very specific location-based issues. But I would like to give you a thumb rule which I learned from the best of elephant experts in the country. A commonality which is emerging is not all elephants come and raid crops. If a forest reserve have say 600 elephants, only 10%, the thumb rule is less than 10% only raid crops. And those 10% are mostly habitual offenders. Habitual offenders in the sense they have got so used to raiding crops, they don't want to depend on the forest fodder which is available inside. They form teams. Is most of the time the adult male, who's a solitary animal, brings in teenage adult males and they jointly go and raid crops. And these elephants, they follow a different pattern according to experts, according to researchers who have done extensive study. They don't move around 18 hours a day, unlike their counterparts who are in the forest. These raiding elephants comes to small patches of forest closer to the villages, and they stay there in the middle of the night or early morning. These are the midnight to early morning is the time where they raid crops, and these crops are not good for them because this has fertilizers and all other stuff. They're very tasty, very tempting for them, and they become obese and they develop other issues over a period of time. Not all elephants follow the same pattern. When there is a drought, when there is corridor disruption, when there is water shortage, they all come out. When there is fire, they come out. That is a different scenario. I'm talking about habitual crop raiding elephants. So there are two sides to the whole elephant story. It is not always human beings to be blamed. There's the other side, the elephants also to be blamed. Well, we can say that who asked the human beings to go stay close to the forest? But you have to also step into the shoes of a villager. There are villages which has been encroached where the human beings are at fault, and there are villages where adjoining forests where the villagers, if you check the record, they are there for the last 5 generations or more. So coexisting between the elephant and human beings is a tough task. That's a subject by itself. So that is the wild elephant part of it. Now I would like to draw your attention to the captive elephants. What can you do about it? In captive elephants, if you look at it, Kerala, Assam, Tamil Nadu, these are 3 states with the highest number of captive elephants. And in Kerala, we have, the percentage wise, we have the highest male elephants. And male elephants has become big celebrities. One of those celebrity elephants a couple of years back killed 2 people when it was brought to partake in a housewarming ceremony. I don't know what was the need for the house owner to bring him for a housewarming ceremony. 2 of his guests were killed in that incident. So we as citizens, there are few things which we can do. One, we can avoid participating in commercial events like inauguration of a jewelry or a textile shop where elephants are there. We can politely tell them, the host, whoever is inviting us, to avoid using elephants, or we are not comfortable to coming to a place where elephants are used. For commercial reasons, these are elephants owned by private owners. Yes, elephants used for other reasons like rituals, fights, and all that. That is a different subject altogether. I mean, as a first step, elephant paraded for purely commercial reason should be discouraged by us. Number two, try to avoid circuses and other tourist places where elephants are used for entertainment. If you abstain from going to such places, the demand on elephant comes down, and then back to back the torture and abuse of elephants comes down, and you are saving an animal back in the forest from getting captured. Second thing what you can do is use social media. If you really care about elephants, write about it in the social media. Create awareness. You lose nothing. Third, try not to mount an elephant. I have done it in the past. I was ignorant of the fact. I thought it's such a giant animal, and then climbing on top of it, my 70 kgs weight hardly matters. But later I realized, when I started working closely with the researchers and veterinarians, I realized that the elephant back is not like the horseback or camelback, where there is no protruding bones below that. So when you climb on an elephant, it really pains him. It's a sensitive part of his body. Having said that, mahout going on top of the elephant is a necessity, because that is one of the many ways they control the elephant. You cannot blame him, because he is part of a system. He is there for a livelihood, and they have to take turns, because they cannot walk long distance on the road. They take turns and go on top of the elephant. Secondly, when you go to forests, there are many parts of the forest in India and across the world which are not accessible by road. You cannot even walk inside. There the foresters have to use elephant. They have to climb on top of the elephant and go. I mean, these are all necessities which you have to overlook. But that is not in our control. What is in our control as citizens of the country, we should do, in my opinion, to reduce the pain and the suffering of our elephants. So many elephants die in the country due to this human elephant conflict. I have seen cases where the trunk was ripped up because of explosive. I've seen photographs where the elephant is running with fire on his body because somebody threw a fire bomb, and it is running with the bomb for a few minutes. What pain it causes. It happens across the country all the time. But this particular incident of death of one elephant should result in a greater awareness to the public at large, so that we are more sensitive to the needs of these giants, so that they're taken care very well. More awareness, the mahouts will be more sensitive to the animal. The mahouts will be less torture, gives less torture to the animal. The less demand on that elephant, the less number of working. I'll also give you another point which just came to my mind. Elephants are not designed to walk on concrete floors or on the road 24/7. In the forest, if you look at it, there are rock formations which they go through. They walk through. There is mud, there is grass, a mix of everything. In the 18 hours which they move in a day, 4 hours of rest, 18 hours they move. It is believed that 60-70% of the time they are on grass. They are not on hard surface. So the suffering is enormous for the animal. World over, there is a change in attitude. Many Europeans and Americans coming now to Thailand and Burma and all that, a lot of Sri Lanka, A lot of elephants have been paraded for tourist camps and all. It is the percentage is coming down thanks to this awareness by NGOs over there. So remember, once upon a time, fur. There was a campaign against using fur, all animal fur, and over a period of time, it became a shame to wear animal fur. I mean, clothes with animal fur. So let a day come in India also that using elephant for commercial activities, other than the religious part of it, let that continue, because there is a very sensitive matter for the country, and it is somebody's belief. So, to elephants used for beliefs, rights, and other things, let them stay as it is in stage one. But in that stage one itself, let us see how we can improve their well-being. And that is it from me, signing off from Bangalore. Thank you.